everyone. Really excited to introduce a new series to you where I've got some guest editors, if you will, presenters in this case. Giselle Kay is a good friend who we met together at the Harvesters annual fundraiser. And through that, we came up with the idea of celebrating women and successful women. And we have got a podcast for you today where Giselle is going to be interviewing Laney Tucker,
Yes.
who is a successful lawyer, very young, successful lawyer. And the intriguing thing about our episode today is how you're going to take her through her personal journey of love
Yes.
and where that took her, where it came from, and where it took her, and her background and everything. Because it's a story of hope and also it's highly entertaining.
And it's also the human experience,
Right.
and it's being able to transmute heartbreak and heartache, something that all of us experience at one point or another in our
Right.
lives, and transmute it into something positive and
Yeah.
constructive and uplifting. So I'm really excited to share her journey with everyone. Hi, I'm Giselle Kay, and I'm here today with Blue Door Magazine, sitting down with my friend Laney Tucker. Laney, so nice to see you.
So good to see you, Giselle.
Wonderful to be in this beautiful setting, your childhood home. And you and I know each other through Harvesters, our philanthropic work with Second Harvest Food Bank. But it's great to be able to sit with you here today. I have been following this incredible journey of yours online, and it has been so fun. And we wanted to sit down to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it's so good to be here with you. I've so enjoyed getting to know you through our work with the food bank, through the Harvesters, and yeah, it's just an honor to be here.
We are here in Newport Beach, where you grew up, and in your childhood home, where you had many of your formative memories. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up in Newport Beach?
Yeah, so actually, the home that we're at right now is the site of my childhood home, but my parents just recently rebuilt it. I guess not recently at this point, it's been about 10 years. But as you can kind of see by the setting, a lot of English and French influence in this house. My parents have always loved travel, they've always loved architecture and art. Which led us to travel a lot when I was growing up. They also really wanted my brother and I to be fluent in Spanish. And so from a young age, we were spending summers in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, and Oaxaca, Mexico, just so that we could really get to know the local culture and learn the language. So even to this day, I travel every chance I get, but there's no place like home here in Newport Beach. So it's always great to come back and spend time here too.
So it's amazing how travel is such an important part of your upbringing. Now, what inspired you to leave Newport Beach and travel abroad?
Yeah, so I mean, in part, what I said about my parents just loving to travel, but then also in part, I went to Sage Hill School here in Newport for high school, and it was definitely one of those schools that empowered us to, get outside of our comfort zone and leave California if possible to study. And so I ended up studying in Atlanta at Emory for college. But not only that, both in high school and in college, actually, I lived in Spain various times. Because I already had that foundation of being fluent in Spanish, I was so interested to get to know the Spanish culture. And I just fell in love with Spain. So I ended up actually taking a gap year between college and law school and teaching English in Madrid, which was the best year. I did not want to come back.
I bet. How would you say your time in Spain helped shape your perspective?
I mean, my time in Spain, honestly, I did not want to come back. It was so fantastic for so many reasons. I think the biggest takeaway from living there was it really taught me how to live life well. Like the Spaniards are just on to something. I don't know what it is, but they just have this amazing ability to work, but also really enjoy life and really not take moments for granted. They spend a lot of time together with their families and they take the time to live intentionally. And so, after being in the US, we are a little more accustomed to the hustle and bustle, and it can get a little hectic. And so, having that perspective when I came back and was starting law school was a savior, because otherwise I would have just been like riddled with anxiety. So, I was really grateful for that experience. And not to mention, the fashion was to die for in Madrid. I'm
Right.
obsessed with European style. It's just something so timeless and elegant about it. So my style game totally changed from living there too.
Well, you're one of the most fashionable ladies I know. And so it's great to hear how Spain really had that impact on you. But tell us a little bit about your outfit and what inspired your look today and what inspires your
Yeah.
look generally.
Yeah, so I am wearing today an Ackler dress, which is actually an Australian brand. Funny enough, I tend to gravitate more towards European ones, but I just love the look of it. I think it's just so timeless. That's really what I go for. I've got some jewelry pieces by Majuri and Cartier and Hermes, and I've got my Dior shoes on. Yeah, I really just try to buy pieces that I think are going to translate well to a lot of different occasions and that are going to be really timeless. So that's sort of what I went for today. I also am obsessed with green. So anything green, I will buy it.
You have that great, fresh, timeless look. So it's just really nice to see that how
You're
you
so
use
sweet.
self expression as a wonderful tool, which leads me into the next question. Um, you are very public on social media, but your main profession is an attorney. And it's interesting because you don't necessarily think of attorneys having such a big online presence. So tell us about that, that journey.
Yeah, so you're right. Attorneys do not normally post on social media. And actually, I think I would argue that they should. I think all lawyers are realizing more and more how much of a creative outlet they really need to have because our work, it can be mundane. It's kind of the same task. So I think it's so great to just let that creative outlet shine. And so the reason that I decided to start posting was actually I have been a lifelong people pleaser, and it was really in an effort to get out of that and, really try to focus on, okay, what do I actually want to do? So I started a challenge for myself called the 75 Raw Challenge, where every single day for 75 days, I had to post something online publicly about like a real authentic experience I was going through. And of course, I started this when I was traveling to Bali. And so, I mean, my stories there were like travel, dating. I was, dating a ton while I was there. So that's just kind of how the content naturally gravitated. But as soon as the 75 days was up, I was actually like, wait, I love doing this. And I'd gotten a lot of feedback from people that me living so boldly in my truth was actually helping them to live in their truth too. And so I was like, I got to continue this work. It's too important.
That's so relatable. It's truly relatable, and so many people struggle with people pleasing. So it's inspiring to see how you turn this challenge into a creative outlet. What are some of the lessons that you've learned from sharing and being so public?
Yeah, it was definitely a shock at first. It's pretty terrifying to put yourself out there so publicly. I would say the biggest lesson that I learned is, that it really does take a lot of confidence and a lot of self-love and self-worth to do that in the face of a lot of trolling. People are very mean on the internet. As soon as anything goes remotely viral, you're getting like just atrocious comments that you're like, I can't even fathom how this person came up with these words. And so it really reinforces that self love and confidence. Unfortunately, it's those moments that make you stronger, right? And so, it's been really interesting to watch myself, I guess, become really comfortable being so vulnerable in the face of that, because you've seen my content and I talk about anything from, fun dating stories to actually I've cried on camera about going through
Right.
heartbreak. So you really you have to be open to sharing it all. That's been kind of my biggest learning experience thus far.
It's incredible to hear how vulnerable you've been, and it can't be easy to do that online and be so public about it. But what are some of the biggest takeaways that you've had, biggest lessons you've experienced from being vulnerable and so open about your heartbreak?
Yeah, so I mean, heartbreak truly breaks you apart like nothing else in this world, like nothing I've ever experienced anyway. And having that kind of dramatic, traumatic experience really causes you to do an audit of your life because this thing that you once thought was certain is gone, and so it causes you to reflect on other areas and think, am I living life how I want to be living actually? Is there something more that I want to be doing? And so for me, that's kind of what happened. I transmuted the enormous pain of the breakup into art, where I've been recounting my own experiences going through it. And I also created a resource which got me out of, the throes of the heartbreak. It's my breakup survival journal, which I've been offering for free on my website. And essentially, it's an exercise going through, ways to reframe the breakup, so that you can kind of be okay with it. So I really think that has been so instrumental to me. I also am working on a breakup survival book, which actually goes through every single thing I did, good and bad, like what worked, what didn't, and I'm getting really honest about it because there was some stuff that did not work that I wouldn't suggest. So yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I really have been able to use that pain to hopefully help a lot of other people and make art out of it.
And how would you say that your heartbreak has experienced your dating life now?
Yeah, so I mean, it's caused me to date differently, right? I participate in what I would call conscious dating. And in conscious dating, I very much have my objective going into any sort of dating situation. So, I talk a lot on my page about dating while in Bali and Brazil. I did 2 solo trips this year and I had the app Bumble, and I was just matching left and right with guys and going on dates. But that journey versus dating here is very different. When I was in Bali in Brazil, my objective was to meet locals and to learn more about the culture there and to sightsee. Essentially, I had tour guides. And I'm actually friends with some of the guys that I met overseas to this day. Whereas when I'm dating in Orange County or LA, I'm very intentional because when I'm dating here, I'm dating looking for marriage eventually. And so I'm really very cautious with my time and with who I will spend my time with.
That's great. Now, it sounds like it must be challenging. It must be work, not challenging, but work to be so mindful when you're consciously dating.
Yeah.
So that must require a certain amount of discipline and perhaps even an emotional wellness practice. Do you have something like that? And what is that routine like?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to, because if you aren't taking care of yourself, how can you possibly expect to care for a relationship, right?
Mhm.
You've got to be kind of at the top of your game to go into one. And so for me, I mean, it's different for everyone, but I am very into all the wellness stuff. I work out every day. I love to meditate. I also have a gratitude journal that I write in every day. And I actually see an energy healer named Chrissy Roletter. She is a Laguna native. I love her. And I also have gone to therapy on and off over the years. I think it's really easy for people to focus on physical health more than mental health, but I would argue that mental health is almost more important to focus on. So, yeah, all of those things keep me afloat and sane.
Right. So, if you could share one piece of advice about self love and dating, what would that be?
I think my biggest learning experience this year has been to really internalize that you have to fall in love with yourself first, fall in love with your own life. And I didn't even know what self love looked like when I got out of my last relationship. I mean, I didn't even remember who I was practically. So, what that required for me was to actually go within and be like, what did I even like to do? Like what hobbies did I used to have back when I was single? And so I kind of ended up getting back into tennis, which I hadn't played in years, running, hiking. And the amazing thing is, there's clubs for everything in Southern California. So I joined a bunch of different clubs. And, in doing so, I'm like, I was able to reconnect with activities that bring me a lot of joy and meet new people. So total win-win there. But I genuinely think that as soon as you start reconnecting with things that you love, you start to love yourself again. And it's
Mhm.
from that place of deep self-love and self-understanding that you actually attract everything that you want in life, whether that's your significant other, whether that's a different job, like experiences, everything comes from that place of being so in love with yourself and your own life. So I would say that's really the ticket, is just to learn how to love yourself and care for yourself.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that's so inspiring. And thank you again for sitting down with us to share a little bit about your journey and your path and your wellness practices. And I'm excited about this new path for you. So
Thanks,
thanks
me too.
again.
Yeah, I'm
N-
so excited.
Now, if people would like to get in touch with you and read your breakup survival guide or connect with you through social media, what's the
Mhm.
best way to do that?
Yeah, so my social medias are Laney Tucker with two Y's. And I'm on both Instagram and TikTok and starting up on YouTube. And I also have a website which is laneytucker.co with just one Y there. We'll link everything in the show notes, I'm sure.
Terrific.
But yeah, I would love for people to get in touch and look forward to having everyone be part of the next journey, whatever that is.
Great. Thanks
And
again.
yeah, and thank you so much for taking the time, Giselle. I always
Of
love spending time with
course.
you.
Likewise.